You guys, look at this.
To get that record as she comes down now.
The world record is 4:12:33. She is going to shatter the world record on this track in Monaco. 2023 brings a trio of world records for Faith Kipyegon, and she breaks the world record of the mile by more than 4 seconds.
Paul, that was insane. She absolutely obliterated that. I never thought I'd see a woman go sub 4:10 in my lifetime, and to see her not only go sub 4:10, but to go way under it is just incredible. She's just on a different level, and she's raising the bar so much for our sport, for women everywhere.
All right, you guys, check this out. When Faith Kipyegon smashed the legal mile world record, she ran 4:07.64. Destroyed it. Not even close, right? And then here, in today's attempt, Faith Kipyegon, with all of this gear, right? Nike has gone out of their way to absolutely put in all of this additional gear. They made a custom suit for her with these beads that help to push away the wind. She's got the armbands. She's got a headband that I'm assuming is helping with the aerodynamics. They put her on a fast track. They have shoes specifically designed to assist her. And then in the middle of the race, she's lining up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 additional runners that have scientifically helped her to analyze what is the best position to be able to push the wind away from her, right? She's got pace lights. She was specifically tuned up for this race, and yet, dare I say, as she finishes in a time of 4:06.42, which is the official time, dare I say, her 4:07 that she did in the Diamond League was still tremendously more impressive than this fastest time ever run by a female in 4:06.91. I am not saying that to diminish her performance, but I am saying if you took the fitness that she was in the Diamond League and then you gave her all these additional factors, dude, do you know how close she would have actually gotten to this 4-minute mile? She might have missed it today, but if you really think about it, if she was in the fitness that she was in when she ran the 4:07, this 4:06.4, with all the additional factors, could have potentially, dare I say, been worth a 4:03. She is so ridiculously impressive. If any female is ever going to break the 4-minute mile or come close to it, it's gonna be her. What makes this very stressful is that she's 31 years old. And it's not to say that it's not possible, but at 31 years old, it's kind of hard to cut your mile time down further than what you've already done your best at. When Faith set the world record, it was in 2023. That's 2 years ago, right? So that means she was 29 years old when it happened. These are prime ages to be running. Do I personally think that she can break 4 minutes? I think if anybody can do it, she's kind of the only person who can right now. As we know, Eliud Kipchoge broke the 2-hour attempt on the second try. So if they ever consider doing this again for Faith, I think that there's a chance that she could do it. What I will say, though, is I don't know if they gave enough time for her to prepare, because even with all the additional factors that they brought in, she still came within 1 second of her previous attempt that she did by herself in non-perfect conditions. And this is where it gets kind of frustrating, because in track and field, unlike other sports, say you're a basketball player or a football player, if you don't train, it might not necessarily affect the performance of a skill-based sport. You might still be ridiculously talented, but in track and field, it's very raw. What you put in is what you get out. And if you're not in top shape caliber, you could not be in the fitness to gain 1 additional second. And in track and field, 1 additional second is absolutely massive. As we just saw in NCAA finals for the men's side, 1 second was the difference between getting first and getting 11th. Look at as these guys sprint down the final here. First place crosses the finish line. Boom. 3:47. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This guy all the way back here on the far left side of your screen still finishes 3:47. Look at these final results that they posted. 3:47.26, and the guy who got 10th was 3:47.92. 1 second means everything in this sport. And if the fitness isn't there, if the conditions aren't perfect, you're not guaranteed to have a gold medal day on a day that you simply just choose. There is a really big luck factor involved for picking the right day, the right conditions, and waking up feeling truly ready for this race. Now, again, like I said, 1 second is huge. I think it's a massive difference, and I don't know how close Faith can actually get to the 4-minute mile, but I actually think she can get within 3 seconds if she tried this again. And unlike Eliud Kipchoge's attempt at the marathon, you actually do have to take a break at distances that far. Faith could actually, technically, she could get back to training fairly soon and make this attempt again, not that far in the future. Eliud had to take a really big break because it's a marathon. It's a massive effort. The way that track and field is progressing, we continue to see barriers being broken over and over again, especially the ones that were previously thought to be impossible. And I think that if Faith doesn't do it, if Nike ever has the funds to be able to invest into another athlete in the future, I do think that this barrier is going to be broken. It's only a matter of time because already you had experienced athletes over here stating that they never thought, the announcer, they never thought that they would ever see a woman dip under 4:10 for the mile. Look at the placements of second, third, fourth, and fifth. 4:14, it wasn't even close. The difference between 4:07 and 4:14 is massive. But the world record that she broke was sitting pretty at 4:12.
Never thought I'd see a woman go sub 4:10 in my lifetime.
So is there more in the gas tank? I hope so. I don't know if she's the one to do it. I think it'd be really cool if she did, if she gave it another shot. But I think that this record is going down. This would be very important because if a woman ended up breaking 4 minutes for the mile, this would be an expansion of consciousness for the entire sport of track and field on what is possible. More barriers like this need to be broken, and I think it's only a matter of time before they do get broken. The only complaint that I have after watching this live attempt is the way that it was presented. And I'll make it short, I'll make it sweet. I think that Nike really has to work on how they're presenting these events. They're talking about a mile, and a mile is something that is usually only contested within the United States. And I don't think that the announcers did a good enough job of explaining what it is to actually run a mile. A lot of people are watching Faith Kipyegon pass by these splits, and they're giving you the 400-meter split, the 800-meter split, and the 1200. And for 3 solid laps, it looks like she's right on pace. But if you're not in the track and field community, you have no idea that a mile is actually 1,609 meters. Those additional 9 meters that need to be accounted for are a huge difference. If you ask the average person in the United States how far a mile is, if you take them to a track, they're just going to say 4 laps. So if you're specifically attempting to break a 4-minute mile, and the mile is an event that is, for the most part, usually only contested in the United States, then I think getting really specific for the average viewer in order to help them to understand what it is they're watching is very, very important. At the end of the day, in order to help track and field grow, we have to make it more relatable to the person who has no clue about all the minuscule rules that track and field can produce, because there's a ton of them. The details in track and field are so important. For example, remember this photo? The average person sitting at home did not understand what they were watching when they saw this finish line photo. They think that the first person to cross the line wins. And here we have Kashane Thompson's foot finishing further ahead than Noah Lyles, but people at home didn't understand that the finish line is calculated by whoever's chest finishes first, crosses the finish line first, excuse me. And even in this photo, I know the angle's a little bit off, but you can clearly see that Noah Lyles did indeed cross the finish line first. Rules like this are so specific, how is anybody not in the community supposed to know that? So if I go back to this video, maybe I'm like barking up the wrong tree, but in this entire 1-hour preview, I think what they did was really smart. I think telling the story and the technology that they're using in order to attempt to break this 4-minute mile is really cool. I think telling her story is awesome. At the end of the day, you're not going to be a fan of a sport unless you're a fan of a person within that sport. It is your interest in the journey of an individual athlete that piques your interest in the sport and what they're doing. But once that relationship is already established, I think all this time that you telling the story of what you're about to watch, I do think that they need to address the details. Because honestly, at the end of the day, this entire setting that Nike set up in order to achieve this goal, they had complete control over every single condition in this track. That's why it's not an official world record. So if that's the case, why not just have her break 4 minutes for 4 laps? I understand that it wouldn't be an official full mile, but if you're actually going to go out of your way to contest 1,609 meters, explain that to people so that they can become better fans of the sport and understand what it is that they're exactly watching. I'm sure a lot of people were left confused why there was such a big time disparity in the last lap. They're like, oh man, like I thought she was on pace for 3 laps. Where'd the extra 6 seconds come from? All in all, I think these attempts are pretty cool. I don't think that they're hurting the sport. I think that testing the limits of the human body, like with scientific support, see how fast a body can move forward in one direction, is really impressive. Because spiritually speaking, when you see an athlete do something that you once thought was impossible, you're breaking a previous mental barrier and expanding it in order to not only believe that it's capable of doing, but what if you're one of the people who's capable of doing it? Sometimes we do need to see things to believe them. I think Faith still has a little bit more left in the gas tank. I think if she gave this another shot, it would be pretty awesome. I'd like to see it, and I don't know if she's up to try it again, but this was super cool to watch. We got to continue to do stuff like this to help people understand the sport of track and field. Sometimes it's just cool to watch people run fast.
The dream is closer than it's ever been because of her. Saved a second off her own record, a performance of staggering courage, precision, and of course, just absolute talent. Faith Kipyegon came to Paris tonight to touch the edge of what we thought was humanly possible. And while the clock may not say 3:59, this is still, and I say this with having seen a lot of things in this sport over the years, one of the most remarkable miles I've ever witnessed, man or woman.